What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dark Horse MMA podcast, episode 13. It's been several months since I've recorded a podcast, but along the way, you guys have asked for the return of the podcast. I used to do it with my buddy Jules, but now I'm going to be doing it solo. I've done a few episodes solo, but I just wanted to keep doing this because I know you guys wanted it back. High demand. So we are back. We just had UFC Vegas 31, I believe, Islam Makhachev against Moises, Thiago Moises. There you go. Almost struggled there. It was honestly, for a fight night, pretty good fight night. There was a bunch of finishes. I was at, like I said, my buddy Jules' house for his little sister Kat's birthday. Shout out Kat. Try to watch the fights as much as I could. Rewatch them on Sunday, just so I could provide some, pretty good insight because I was a little under the influence on Saturday. Got to celebrate in some way. Okay, so regardless, we're gonna jump right into it. So we're gonna start off with Gabriel Benitez and Billy Quarantillo. Billy Quarantillo is a guy that's always on MMA Twitter. You gotta love seeing that all the time. He was a plus 145 underdog going into this fight. This was a really entertaining fight. Billy dropped Gabriel pretty early in the fight. I won't go over all these fights except the main event in depth, but it was entertaining. Billy had Gabriel's back with the body triangle for a good amount of time throughout this fight. Took him down. Gabriel actually dropped Billy in the third round, I believe. And then Billy actually got Gabriel down once again in the body triangle, and he actually finished him from the back with strikes by TKO, which you don't see very often. I don't really think I've ever seen that before, where you're on your back and you have a guy's back. Usually you'll see it when your opponent, you have his back and he's on his stomach on the mat and you're just feeding him, like John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson, the rematch, how that fight finished. But you don't really see it, someone finishing another or their opponent with strikes when they have their back and their own back is on the mat. So that was really interesting to see. Billy, did the sugar celebration afterwards. Pulled off a BJ pen, licked the blood off his gloves when his name was getting called out as the winner. And then he called out for 50 G's like McGregor. So you love to see that. Billy Quarantillo, not a lot of people may know that guy's name, but he is always game. He's fought, I think, 4 times or 5 times in the UFC Performance Institute. And this guy with a crowd behind him would be very exciting. So the UFC's got to put him in front of a crowd. He's asking for that in his post-fight interview. And he actually called out Charles Rosa, who's a good high-level BJJ black belt. You may know him because he actually got dominated by not Bryce Hall. That's the TikTok guy. What's his name? Bryce Mitchell, I think. Bryce Mitchell. Yeah, Bryce Mitchell, Mr. Arkansas camel shorts guy. So yeah, definitely for sure keep an eye out on Billy Quarantillo. That guy's exciting. And something I just want to go over really quick is, you guys, if you follow MMA, you definitely saw that older Colombian lady outside of the UFC Performance Institute holding a sign of saying that she wants to meet Khabib, essentially. And I think Islam ran into her and recorded her, sent it to Dana White. Dana White, of course, ate that up, met up with her, and actually got her to watch the fights. And she also met Khabib. So that's awesome to see. She's obviously up there in age, maybe 70s, I want to say. And she was hanging out there in the freaking desert heat. So you got to respect the shit out of that. Then again, she's from Colombia, so she's probably used to that because I'm assuming Colombia it's really hot there. I don't know. Definitely hotter than in Canada right now. But yeah, so something I just want to go over really quick is it's so cool seeing Dana White do these kind of things for those kind of people that are just diehard fans. Like, Dana will always appreciate them. And with Dana White, everyone only talks negatively about him in the media. Like, you don't really hear the good things that Dana White does. All we really hear are the negative aspects behind his name, like fighter pay, all this stuff, all this bullshit, cutting fighters, whatever. No one talks about the good this guy does. No one talks about the fact that during COVID, when everyone thought it was the fucking zombie apocalypse, No one talks about the fact that he didn't lay off one person in the entire UFC company as a whole, which is crazy. People that weren't even needed. He didn't lay anyone off. He wanted to figure it out. Figured it out. Was the first major sport back in action. And he's a savage and truly doesn't give a fuck about what anyone thinks about him. And he's one of my biggest role models in life just because of that. Not giving a fuck and just doing what he wants. You know, he's not afraid to say, oh, I support Trump or whatever. That's a different story. I'm not going to get into that stuff, but I just love the person, who he is. He doesn't care what anyone thinks, and he's actually a good guy. No one talks about that. Only like typical media bullshit. People only talk about the negative stuff when it comes to Dana White. But for me, I fucking love him. I'm going to be really sad when he leaves the UFC, when he actually retires. Who knows when that's going to be, because this is something he loves. And watching fights, I can't see that, you know, getting old and boring anytime soon, because like, what the fuck, guys? If you're watching this right now, we both would watch that till we die. Watch fights till we die. Let me think. So I'm just looking at my notes real quick. Yeah, so that just Dana White's an OG. Dana White's the OG of the fight game. Him and a bunch of the guys, Fertitta brothers and stuff, they created the UFC, or saved the UFC, I should say. And you know, watch your mouth when you talk about Dana White, man. He's a fucking good guy. So regardless, we're going to go into the next fight. So we had Rodolfo Vieira. He was a minus 220 favorite against Dustin. I'm going to butcher his last name. Stoltzfus? We'll go with that. I'll just call him Dustin. So Vieira, you may know, he, in his last fight, a little backstory or context for him. Vieira is a multi-BJJ world champion, ADCC, you know, killer on the mat, fucking gorilla of a man once he locks you up in something, once he gets his hands on you in a grappling exchange. And he actually gassed out so bad in his last fight, it was almost funny to laugh at. Obviously, wouldn't actually laugh at it, but you know, he just maybe cut too much weight, was nervous. I don't know what the deal was. He's obviously way bigger than 185 pounds because he fights at middleweight. This guy's all of 235 off season in between fights. And yeah, so it was actually a good fight. He showed, you know, some good improvements in his striking arsenal. He actually didn't even shoot in for a takedown in the entire first round, which is pretty surprising. But I'm assuming that just comes with him being, you know, traumatized of gassing out again, like in his last fight. And then the second round, you know, or I should say, all throughout this fight, these guys are both exchanging good jabs. Vieira has a nasty jab, powerful jab behind all that muscle that he carries around. And yeah, no, he's a good fighter. It's tough to say where he's going to be at because it's pretty early on in his UFC career. But if it ever hits the mat, regardless of who he is facing, he will fuck you up. The way he was taking Dustin's back is astonishing. That is high-level BJJ. For a guy that, you know, me, myself, I am obsessed with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's something that I've been doing ever since I graduated and, you know, just to kind of pursue this sport myself. You appreciate the shit out of that once you're on the mats yourself, because that shit is not easy to do. And especially as a big man who's well over 200 pounds going into that fight, it's impressive. So yeah, he, in the third round, took Dustin's back and choked him out with that nasty squeeze of his. He has some thick-ass forearms. And yeah, it's either you're going to tap or his eyeballs are going to pop out like in a Friday the 13th movie, if you guys like your horror movies like myself. But yeah, and also another note, first time I've ever drank Modelo's in a UFC fight night. Modelo's are not bad, guys. Try that shit. I missed the P3 official protein snack of the UFC, but I also have never tried Body Armor as well. But Modelo's, a good light beer. Me and Jules like that shit. I put a lime in it. Lime's not needed, but it's still very good. You guys should try it. It reminds me of like a Corona almost. Corona's still my number one favorite beer. So I'm just going over the notes again real quick. Yeah, eyeballs out of the socket, you know, casual stuff. Yeah, okay, something I wanted to talk about with Vieira. There's no way this guy's natural. There's no way this guy is not taking a steroid in his life or performance enhancer. I love him. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community at the ADCC level, the highest level, everyone's on steroids. Nick Diaz all these guys on steroids. They're all on steroids, man. If you just look at the lineup of ADCC guys, like they're all juice heads. I don't want to say 100% of them are, because I don't know that for a fact, but a lot of them are. A majority of them are. I'd be confident in saying that a majority of these guys are on sauce. And guys I train with are on sauce. I'm not going to name names, but if you went to my combat arts academy school, you would be able to point out who's on sauce. I love them all. Great guys. But they're fucking gorillas of human beings. They're monsters. But yeah, I don't know how the science behind all that shit works, but that guy is a monster. That guy is a monster because he was an ADCC champ. He obviously took something while he's competing there. I don't know if that probably wasn't during his UFC career, because from what I know, I know this is his second UFC fight. I'm not confident on that, but I know he hasn't had a long UFC career. And if he has, I look really dumb. And also, if you're watching this, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the video, or if you're listening on whatever platform, you guys can make sure to like this video and subscribe or follow Dark Horse MMA. Make sure to do that. But I don't know how this guy is natural. I don't know if this guy passes fucking USADA test. That makes no sense to me, and that's pretty impressive. Might be a little flaw in that system, but can't be perfect in life. Anyways, we'll go on to the next fight. So we got Stevens. What was it? Jeremy Stevens. Who the fuck? The most overused joke in MMA, and I use it all the time. So Jeremy Stevens against Matusys Gamrot. Okay, so Jeremy was underdog. Gamrot was a -210 favorite. Quick work of Jeremy Stevens. Gamrot made. Shot in early on a low single leg and took him down. Went into the north-south position with a Kimura grip and eventually got the finish. A nasty Kimura finish. You don't see Kimuras from that position get finished all too often. The last time I could think of, from the top of my head at least, it might be Jimmy Crute, maybe even Francis Ngannou, but one of my favorite finishes from that position was George St. Pierre. I hope I'm right with that. I think it might have been Matt Hughes. I'm not too confident on that as well, but I love that Kimura technique from the north-south position. It's pretty nasty. You get a lot of torque and can tear the shit out of someone's shoulder from that position. So if you guys do jiu-jitsu, definitely try that technique out. For Jeremy, poor little Jeremy, this was his 5th loss in a row. I can pull out his record really quick. Let me see. Jeremy, I should have done this before, so that's my bad. So Jeremy Stevens lost it. Okay. Oh, wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that was his 5th loss in a row, but it's not that bad if you guys look at who he's lost to. He's lost to, I don't know if you've heard of him, Jose Aldo, one of the greatest featherweights of all time. Zabit Mago fucking Shapirov, butchered that. Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, and Gamrot. So the guy who we just lost to is probably the lesser known guy out of all those guys. Obviously, Yair, nasty, supposed to fight Max. Calvin just lost to Max, got battered. And Aldo, I think just beat, who did he just beat? Chito Vera, I want to say. That's the last guy I can think of. So we lost to top level guys. He has a win over Josh Emmett. That was an interesting one. Du Ho Choi. Okay, but yeah, so the question is, should the UFC, I saw this a lot before I just went over the fight. It was 1 minute long, not too much to cover. But so with Jeremy Stevens, and it's an interesting situation because he has lost to the highest guys in the UFC has to offer for 4 of those 5 losses. So before they would cut him, I say give him one more fight, another up-and-coming guy. If he loses, especially in a fashion like that, quick and easy, I'd say cut him. I don't know what he's getting paid. It has to be half decent because he's up there with the most fights in UFC history. I think he has the record for most losses in UFC history as well. But I wouldn't cut him just yet. I would say give him one. If Dana White loves the shit out of Jeremy Stevens, which I don't think he does, he's no Donald Cerrone, then I would cut him. I would cut him for sure. That's my take on that. I wouldn't cut him just yet. Give him one more guy. 6 losses in a row is BJ Penn territory. I think Cerrone's like 5 in a row or something like that. Hasn't won in 5 because I know he had a draw against Nico Price because Nico poked him in the eye like 7 times. Yeah, so I'm not. I have to say, I've got to be completely honest with you guys and gals, whoever's listening. I'm not mad whenever I see Jeremy Stephens lose. He just like comes off as a prick to me. I gotta be honest with you guys. I have so much respect for him and anyone who fights in the UFC, but I gotta be honest when I say I don't know. He just rubs me off the wrong way. That sounds horrible, but I don't know. Something about him I just don't like. You know, there's just people like they could be the nicest guy in the world, but like for some reason, like their face, you just don't like him. You just don't like them because of their face. He also the biggest reason why I got to be honest again why I was happy that he lost. No, I don't want to say happy, but why I wasn't upset that he lost. I'll say to be polite is the fact that he was talking shit to Drakkar Klose after he shoved the shit out of him at their face off. Before their fight, and Klaus actually was throwing up all night after that. I think he got a concussion from that. I'm not sure, but I know he got hurt from that and he had to pull out, and he's like was just chirping him about it, saying how he's not going to take that fight from him, how he gave him the co-main event and blah blah blah. He doesn't deserve this. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. You don't deserve that co-main event, but he barely deserved to be in the UFC right now. So I get it. You want to talk shit and whatever, but just win a fight next time. I love what you do. I love you have some nasty ass knockouts. I respect you, of course. You're a UFC fighter. I have the utmost respect for anyone that does this sport for a living. But yeah, you just certain things it just will, I don't know, make you look bad, I guess. So the next fight, we'll go to the co-main event. Miesha Tate, the freaking long-awaited return from her. It's been like 5 years since she fought. Her last loss, I think, was to Jessica Pennington at UFC 205. Could be wrong on that. Just going off my memory, which isn't great. And she was facing Marion Renault, 44 years old. I feel like that's not been talked about enough for this fight. She's 44. That's old as shit. That's like Anderson Silva old. Like, what the 44 years old and a woman MMA fighter? Respect that. I respect that. I think she was saying she got started at 36. So fuck, man, that's some sick shit. You gotta respect that. Miesha Tate didn't because she TKO'd her on the mat. Good fight, I guess. Miesha Tate, had some good striking, some good takedowns. She got a good trip against or sweep. I don't know what the term is because my wrestling vocabulary is very amateurish, I guess you could say. I don't really know what the proper term is, but she had a body lock, I want to say, or was on a double leg. I'm not too sure. And then she swept her leg out, took her down. Eventually, she had her back. She was face down, Renault, and then just finished her with strikes. Good to see. Miesha Tate said that... what was it? Before I even go there, Miesha, yeah, she had some sick ass guard passes, I have to say, from Renault when Renault was trying to upkick her in the mouth. Pretty good. She looked pretty good. She passed Amanda Nunes for most wins in UFC bantamweight history. Of course, only the women's bantamweight division. And she says she's not just here to win fights; she's here to get the belt. And if you guys do not know, she fought Amanda Nunes back at, I want to say, UFC 200, because I only know that because of the ugliest yellow mats you've ever seen in your life that were the canvas for that event. And yeah, Amanda Nunes took her soul in that fight, beat the shit out of her, then choked her out. Yeah, if they fought again, the exact same thing would happen, except it would probably just be a knockout. Let's be honest. Amanda Nunes, hard to see her losing to anyone. She probably beats half of the fucking male featherweight division. Of course, that's not true, but you know what I'm getting at. She's nasty, and she's a badass. Miesha Tate, you never know. You never know. It's fighting. But I guess with women's fighting, it's just such a high drop-off in competition from the champion with certain divisions. Like Valentina, I've said it several times. I think Valentina is going to beat DJ's title defense record. And Amanda Nunes, bro, those divisions drop off so quick. Like I'll pull up the rankings right now. I won't go over all of them. I just want to take a quick peep just so I can reference properly for you guys. Oh, dude. First and foremost, Valentina's facing Lauren Murphy. I think that says everything you need to know about that division. Anyways, Lauren Murphy's ranked number 3rd. Love Lauren Murphy. Again, respect to everyone, every fighter. I think the most stacked for sure is the strawweight division that Rose reigns in right now. That's definitely the most stacked division. Marina Rodriguez is number 6, and she's nasty. Nina Nunes, number 7. Yeah, so strawweight for sure is the best division. Yeah, so she says she wants to fight Amanda Nunes for the belt. Maybe she'll work her way up there. Holly Holm actually called her out for a rematch. And if you guys do not know, Miesha Tate actually won the belt from Holly Holm after she knocked out Ronda Rousey, one of my favorite knockouts of all time. I don't like Ronda Rousey because she talks shit about Canada. I'm Canadian. I'm from Canada. Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Near Toronto, if you guys don't know where that is. Do not blame you. Yeah, so Holly Holm against Miesha Tate, the rematch. I'm so down for that. Fucking sign me up. Let's do it. Holly Holm is ranked. Again, I'm just going to refer really quick. Where does she fight? She's a bantamweight, obviously. I just said that. So bantamweight. Holly Holm's 2nd. Oh, sign me up. Let's do that. And then Miesha Tate against Amanda Nunes. Again, that sells. Let's do it. Sign me up. Okay, cool. So now the main event, guys. Islam Makhachev against Thiago Moises. Islam was a minus 720 favorite going into this fight. Moises, I'm just going to call him Thiago. I feel like I'm going to be butchering his last name. Was a plus 500, a huge underdog. Excuse me. A huge underdog. I mean, you know, all the praise going into the world for Islam going into this fight and every fight since Khabib has retired because all eyes are on him. Especially, I feel like the Muslim community because he is now the guy for them after Khabib is retired. Of course, there's other guys like Khabib's cousin that are up and coming in the UFC, but this guy's the highest ranked. He has the most praise from like Khabib and Daniel Cormier at American Top Team, aka American Kickboxing Academy, where they do no kickboxing and just wrestle there. Who the fuck kickboxes at AKA, guys? Nonetheless, the fight went as expected. Islam, he's a southpaw. I thought that was interesting, in case you guys didn't know that. His good striking, good high kicks. Thiago is a good kickboxer, high-level BJJ black belt, and he got out-grappled. How? I don't even know. Not humiliating. I don't want to say humiliating. That's not the right word at all, but just tough. Just tough on his ego. Just getting out-grappled at something he is good at. Because his game, he's good at grappling. He's, like I said, a black belt in BJJ. That doesn't mean shit in Dagestan. Dagestan, they don't care about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They shit on that and do whatever they want with you if you're a black belt. That's basically a white belt in Dagestan. But yeah, no, Islam had good takedowns, good striking. It was, somewhat close in the first round when it comes to the striking department. And then, Javier Mendez and Khabib, stick to father's plan, just trip him. I know you could probably beat him in a kickboxing match, but stick to what you're good at. Stick to your best way of winning, which is grappling, of course, for Islam. And he did. He took him down, went for a good, armbar at the end of the first or second round. And he looked good. Thiago, respect to him for stepping up because no one wants to fight Islam. Islam's ranked, it's Monday today, so it's going to be updated Tuesday. But Islam is ranked right now. He's ranked number 9. Thiago's 14 going into this fight, so I don't know what's going to be happening with that. He may pass Dan Hooker. Conor McGregor can be ranked 9 for all I care. He doesn't even deserve to be ranked in the lightweight division at all, I feel like, because he has one win in that division. So I think that's self-explanatory. Anyways, I won't go down that slippery slope, but back onto Islam. He's a killer. Everyone's thinking he is the future lightweight champ. Definitely very possible that guy can beat anyone in this division on any given day. Another fun fact is that Moises, why did I say his last name? I don't know if I keep saying this wrong. Thiago took down Islam, and Islam was having a good laugh about that in the post-fight interview. He was saying all the Olympians he trains with are going to give him a hard time about that because, obviously he got taken down. And he trains with Olympian wrestlers. Is that good? I don't know. You tell me. That's fucking awesome, obviously. Yeah, and it was just like once the fight hit the mat, like Thiago was, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. For a BJJ black belt, Islam made him a white belt. It didn't mean fuck all when it came to the mats. It was close somewhat on the kickboxing exchanges. But once it hits the mat, once Islam stuck to the game plan that he's good at, like Father's plan, there's nothing you can do about it. And of course, he eventually won by rear naked choke in the 4th round. And yeah, he mauled him. Not Habib-like. It's funny. Something I just want to go over really quick is the fact that when I was watching it at the kitchen table off of a computer, you don't really need that information. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Thiago had Islam against the cage, and I was looking at Jules and I'm like, bro, Islam's nowhere near as good as Habib. Then again, I was like 5 Modelos deep, which is a lot for me. Don't rip me too hard, guys. I was just saying, when have we ever seen Habib pressed against the cage? But that's stupid of me to think like that because that's just the high praise that everyone and high expectations that everyone has for Islam, which sucks for him. It's a lot of pressure. It's a shitty thing. Obviously, he can handle it. He's performing really well ever since he's had that high praise because of Habib. It's just funny the fact that I had that little thought to myself before I caught myself thinking stupidly about that. Is the fact that he had 15 seconds of time passed where he was pressed against the cage, and I was just like, he's not as good as Habib. That's bullshit. He's not as good. He probably won't be champ. That's stupid. That's just how dominant Habib is. Islam is an amazing fighter. That was stupid of me to think like that. This guy has a promising future. He's showing that every fight, and I definitely think he can be a future lightweight champ without a doubt, no question about it. He can maul McGregor, no doubt, no question about it. I'll say that again. He actually called out RDA in his interview with Paul Felder. It's kind of funny that Paul Felder was interviewing Islam because if you don't know, those two, or Felder was offered to fight Islam and he turned it down because he wanted to retire, and Islam didn't know that obviously in the time, and he took to Twitter and it was kind of just saying like Felder was ducking him and stuff like that, and Felder was getting pissed off, so he's like, fuck, okay, I guess I have to announce I'm retiring because I don't want to look like a bitch. Understandably so. Paul Felder, hope he's enjoying retirement. Yeah, he's a great guy. But yeah, Islam called out RDA, says, buddy, you got 3 or 4 months to train. Let's do it. And then in the backstage when he was getting interviewed by another analyst at the UFC, he called out Michael Chandler, and I think that was Michael Chandler's first time behind the desk as an analyst. Definitely pushed it away. He kind of was just like, yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, calling out top fighters. I don't think he'll get the Michael Chandler fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I think Michael Chandler's going to be facing Justin Gaethje because Justin Gaethje has been on the shelves for a minute and he's not even injured, and I want to see that guy fight. And they were rumored to fight before Charles Oliveira fought Justin Gaethje. Or not Justin Gaethje. Michael Chandler. There we go. And he even called out, Tony Ferguson, saying he would like to help him retire, which is a pretty fucking intimidating quote, to say the least. Yeah, so what I think will happen, who do I think Islam will fight next? This is a question we will go over right now. So RDA is ranked number 6. Tony's ranked 5th. And Beneil's ranked 3rd. And something I just realized I forgot to mention is the fact that Dana White, I heard this on Twitter, so you can take this with a grain of salt. Supposedly he wants Beneil Dariush against Islam Makhachev. I could see that fight happening because Beneil's ranked 3rd. And I could see that happening for one big reason, is because he wants Islam to be champion as soon as possible to capitalize and on that huge Muslim community behind him that, they're diehard fans. I love those guys and gals, all of them as a whole. They're great people and they're very loyal people, which I love and admire. And he wants to capitalize on that and make a lot of money with the UFC, with his pay-per-view, star power that he can have. with Habib, especially in his corner, that sells in itself. I could go in the UFC and Habib would be in my corner and I could sell, not a lot, but Habib would sell everything. But my point is that Dana, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts Islam in a top contender fight from 9, from being ranked 9 to fighting a third ranked contender, just to escalate the situation even more and just help him hop the line, basically hop a bunch of fighters and capitalize on this potential star power that he could have if he is champion. And an Islam Makhachev Charles Oliveira fight, would you watch that? I'd fucking watch the shit out of that. I'd watch any matchup in the lightweight division, but that's almost like the Habib Charles Oliveira fight that we kind of are thinking about right now since Charles is champ. We're always going to be thinking about, would Habib fight him? How would that fight play out? But if Islam beats Charles, Habib would fucking maul everyone in that division. So that's pretty self-explanatory. I think Habib would never lose. Yeah, so I think that's going to happen. A Tony fight would make sense too. He's ranked 5th, so he's high. He's a high-ranked fighter at the same time. Give me Tony or Beneil. I think, he would maul Tony, guys. I think Islam mauls Tony because Tony has had the steepest decline ever since he got mauled by Justin Gaethje. I think that fight makes sense. I would love to watch that fight too on a main card and a pay-per-view. I think to boost the sales, or the pay-per-view buys at least. And that press conference between Islam and Tony Ferguson would be so funny and would be a treat to watch and listen to for sure. I think the tougher matchup is against Dariush. I think the best bet is to make the Tony Ferguson fight because I think Islam for sure mauls Tony Ferguson. And I know he is a great grappler. And I know that fight with Islam would be a great fight. And the winner of that could possibly get the next shot at the UFC lightweight strap. So you guys can comment below who you think would win that fight, or you can reach out to me on Instagram if you're listening on any podcast platforms. And that concludes episode 13 of the Dark Horse MMA podcast. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to tune in for next week's podcast. And there's going to be multiple videos in between that, highlights of this podcast's full episode. So make sure to do so. And I hope you all have a great day. I'm so grateful for you guys listening, subscribing, liking, the whole spiel. I love you all. Have a great day and be happy. See you guys.
Damn, it's gonna be a long night.